A former British colony, Cyprus became independent in 1960 following years of resistance to British rule. Tensions between the Greek Cypriot majority and Turkish Cypriot minority came to a head in December 1963, when violence broke out in the capital of Nicosia. Despite the deployment of UN peacekeepers in 1964, sporadic intercommunal violence continued, forcing most Turkish Cypriots into enclaves throughout the island. In 1974, a Greek government-sponsored attempt to overthrow the elected president of Cyprus was met by military intervention from Turkey, which soon controlled more than a third of the island. In 1983, the Turkish Cypriot-administered area declared itself the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRNC, but it is recognized only by Turkey. A UN-mediated agreement, the Annan Plan, failed to win approval by both communities in 2004. In February 2014, after a hiatus of nearly 2 years, the leaders of the two communities resumed formal discussions under UN auspices aimed at reuniting the divided island. The most recent round of negotiations to reunify the island was suspended in July 2017 after failure to achieve a breakthrough. The entire island entered the AU on the 1st of May 2004. Although the EU acquis, the body of common rights and obligations, applies only to the areas under the internationally recognized government, and is suspended in the area administered by Turkish Cypriots. However, individual Turkish Cypriots able to document their eligibility for Republic of Cyprus citizenship legally enjoyed the same rights accorded to other citizens of EU states.
Geography.
Cyprus.
Location: Middle East, island in the Mediterranean Sea, south of Turkey. Note: Cyprus views itself as part of Europe. Geopolitically, it can be classified as falling within Europe, the Middle East, or both.
Geographic coordinates: 3500N, 3300E.
Map references: Middle East.
Area, total
9,251 square kilometers, of which 3,355 square kilometers are in North Cyprus.
Land,
9,241 square kilometers.
Water,
10 square kilometers.
Country comparison to the world:
170.
Area, comparative, about 0.6 times the size of Connecticut.
Land boundaries, total
156 kilometers.
Border sovereign base areas:
Akrotiri 48 kilometers, Tkilia 108 kilometers.
Coastline, 648 kilometers.
Maritime claims, territorial sea,
12 m.
Contiguous zone,
24 m.
Continental shelf,
200 m depth or to the depth of exploitation.
Climate, temperate, Mediterranean with hot, dry summers and cool winters.
Terrain, central plain with mountains to north and south, scattered but significant plains along southern coast.
Elevation, mean elevation,
91 m.
Lowest point,
Mediterranean Sea 0 m.
Highest point,
Mount Olympus 1951 m.
Natural resources: copper, pyrites, asbestos, gypsum, timber, salt, marble, clay earth pigment.
Land use: agricultural land,
13.4%,
arable land,
9.8%, permanent crops,
3.2%, /permanent pasture,
0.4%,
forest,
18.8%,
other,
67.8%.
irrigated land, 460 square kilometers.
Population distribution: population concentrated in central Nicosia and in the major cities of the south.
Perforce, Limassol, and Larnaca.
Natural hazards: moderate earthquake activity, droughts.
Environment, current issues, water resource problems, no natural reservoir catchments, seasonal disparity in rainfall, seawater intrusion to island's largest aquifer, increased salination in the north, water pollution from sewage, industrial wastes, and pesticides, coastal degradation, erosion, loss of wildlife habitats from urbanization. Environment,
International agreements. Party 2.
Air pollution, nitrogen oxides, air pollution persistent organic pollutants, air pollution sulfur 94, biodiversity, climate change Kyoto Protocol, desertification, endangered species, environmental modification, hazardous wastes, law of the sea, marine dumping, ozone layer protection, ship pollution, wetlands.
Signed, but not ratified.
None of the selected agreements.
Geography. Note: the third largest island in the Mediterranean Sea, after Sicily and Sardinia, Several small Cypriot enclaves exist within the Dhelia sovereign base area.
People and society.
Cyprus.
Population 1,237,088.
Country comparison to the world.
158.
Nationality, noun.
Cypriot. S.
Adjective.
Cypriot.
Ethnic groups. Greek 98.8%, other 1%, includes Maronite, Armenian, Turkish Cypriot, unspecified 0.2%.
Note.
Data represent only the government-controlled area of Cyprus.
Languages. Greek, official, 80.9%, Turkish, official, 0.2%, English 4.1%, Romanian 2.9%, Russian 2.5%, Bulgarian 2.2%, Arabic 1.2%, Filipino 1.1%, other 4.3%, unspecified 0.6%.
Note.
Data represent only the government-controlled area of Cyprus.
Religions. Orthodox Christian 89.1%, Roman Catholic 2.9%, Protestant, Anglican 2%, Muslim 1.8%, Buddhist 1%, other, includes Maronite, Armenian Church, Hindu 1.4%, unknown 1.1%, non-atheist 0.6%.
Note.
Data represent only the government-controlled area of Cyprus.
Age structure 0 to 14 years.
15.64%, male 99,390, female 94,053.
15 to 24 years.
13.25%, male 89,265, female 74,607.
25 to 54 years.
47.11%, male 308,190, female 274,632.
55 to 64 years.
11.62%, male 68,952, female 74,842.
65 years and over.
12.38%, male 66,209, female 86,948.
Population pyramid.
Population pyramid.
Dependency ratios.
Dependency ratios are a measure of the age structure of a population. They relate the number of individuals that are likely to be economically dependent on the support of others. Dependency ratios contrast the ratio of youths, ages 0-14, and the elderly, ages 65 plus, to the number of those in the working age group, ages 15-64. Changes in the dependency ratio provide an indication of potential social support requirements resulting from changes in population age structures. As a fertility level. More dependency ratios field listing.
Total dependency ratio.
42.3.
Youth dependency ratio.
24.
Elderly dependency ratio.
18.3.
Potential support ratio.
5.5.
Note.
Data represent the whole country.
Median age. Total.
37.2 years.
Male.
35.9 years.
Female.
38.7 years.
Country comparison to the world.
68.
Population growth rate 1.27%.
Country comparison to the world.
86.
Birth rate 11.2 births out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
174.
Death rate 6.8 deaths out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
133.
Net migration rate 8.3 migrants out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
11.
Population distribution. Population concentrated in central Nicosia and in the major cities of the south.
Paphos, Limassol, and Larnaca.
Urbanization. Urban population.
66.8% of total population.
Rate of urbanization.
0.75% annual rate of change.
Major urban areas. Population 269,000 Nicosia, capital.
Sex ratio, at birth.
1.05 male every 1 female.
0-14 years.
1.06 male every 1 female.
15-24 years.
1.19 male every 1 female.
25-54 years.
1.11 male every 1 female.
55-64 years.
0.92 male every 1 female.
65 years and over.
0.77 male every 1 female.
Total population.
1.04 male every 1 female.
Mother's mean age at first birth, 28.8 years.
Note:
Data represent only government-controlled areas.
maternal mortality rate 7 deaths/100,000 live births.
Country comparison to the world.
162.
Infant mortality rate. Total.
7.7 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Male.
9 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Female.
6.2 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Country comparison to the world.
155.
Life expectancy at birth. Total population.
79 years.
Male.
76.2 years.
Female.
81.9 years.
Country comparison to the world.
52.
Total fertility rate. 1.47 children born. Woman.
Country comparison to the world.
202.
Health expenditures 7.4% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
68.
Physicians density. 2.5 physicians out of 1,000 population.
Hospital bed density 3.4 beds out of 1,000 population.
Drinking water source. Improved.
Urban.
100% of population.
Rural.
100% of population.
Total.
100% of population.
Unimproved.
Urban.
0% of population.
Rural.
0% of population.
Total.
0% of population.
Sanitation facility access. Improved.
Urban.
100% of population.
Rural.
100% of population.
Total.
100% of population.
Unimproved.
Urban.
0% of population.
Rural.
0% of population.
Total.
0% of population.
HIV/AIDS. Adult prevalence rate. 0.1%.
Country comparison to the world.
109.
HIV/AIDS. People living with HIV/AIDS. Less than 1,000. HIV/AIDS. Deaths. Less than 100. Obesity. Adult prevalence rate. 21.8%. Country comparison to the world. 84. Education expenditures.
6.4% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
24.
Literacy. Definition.
Age 15 and over can read and write.
Total population.
99.1%.
Male.
99.5%.
Female.
98.7%.
School life expectancy. Primary to tertiary education. Total.
15 years.
Male.
14 years.
Female.
15 years.
Unemployment. Youth ages 15 to 24. Total.
29.1%.
Male.
25.8%.
Female.
31.8%.
Country comparison to the world.
38.
People. Note: demographic data for Cyprus represent the population of the government-controlled area and the area administered by Turkish Cypriots, unless otherwise indicated.
Government.
Cyprus.
Country name. Conventional long form.
Republic of Cyprus.
Conventional short form.
Cyprus.
Local long form.
Kypriarchi Dimokritos/Gabris Komarieti.
Local short form.
Kypros/Gabris.
Etymology.
The derivation of the name Cyprus is unknown, but the extensive mining of copper metal on the island in antiquity gave rise to the Latin word cuprum for copper.
Note:
The Turkish Cypriot community, which administers the northern part of the island, refers to itself as the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, or TRK. Kuzikabris Turkunriyeti, or TK.
Government type. Republic of Cyprus. Presidential Republic. Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Self-declared. Parliamentary republic with enhanced presidency.
Note:
A separation of the two main ethnic communities inhabiting the island began following the outbreak of communal strife in 1963. This separation was further solidified when a Greek military junta-supported coup attempt prompted the Turkish intervention in July 1974 that gave the Turkish Cypriots de facto control in the north. Greek Cypriots control the only internationally recognized government on the island. On the 15th of November 1983, then Turkish Cypriot President Rauf Denktaş declared independence and the formation of a Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRNC, which is recognized only by Turkey.
Capital. Name:
Nicosia, Lefkosia/Lefkosa.
Geographic coordinates:
3510 N, 3322 E.
Time difference:
UTC +2, 7 hours ahead of Washington, D.C. During Standard Time.
Daylight saving time:
+1 hour, begins last Sunday in March, ends last Sunday in October.
Administrative divisions: 6 districts: Amakstos, Famagusta, all but a small part located in the Turkish Cypriot community, Kyrenia, Kyrenia, the only district located entirely in the Turkish Cypriot community, Larnaca, with a small part located in the Turkish Cypriot community, Lefkosa, Nicosia, a small part administered by Turkish Cypriots, Limesos, Limassol, Parthos, Paphos. Note: the 5 districts of the trunk are Gazamagusa, Famagusta, Gun, Kyrenia, Guzulyate, Morph, Iskal, Trichomo, Lefkosa, Nicosia.
Independence. The 16th of August 1960, from the UK. Note: Turkish Cypriots proclaimed self-rule on the 13th of February 1975 and independence in 1983, but these proclamations are recognized only by Turkey.
National holiday. Independence Day, the 1st of October, 1960. Note: Turkish Cypriots celebrate the 15th of November, 1983, as Republic Day.
Constitution. History.
Ratified the 16th of August 1960. Note: in 1963, the constitution was partly suspended as Turkish Cypriots withdrew from the government. Turkish-held territory in 1983 was declared the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRUK. In 1985, the TRUK approved its own constitution.
Amendments.
Constitution of the Republic of Cyprus, proposed by the House of Representatives. Passage requires at least 2/3 majority vote of the total membership of the Greek community and the Turkish community. However, all seats of Turkish Cypriot members have remained vacant since 1964, amended several times, last in 2016.
Constitution of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, proposed by at least 10 members of the Assembly of the Republic. Passage requires at least 2/3 majority vote of the total Assembly membership and approval by referendum. Amended 2014.
Legal system. Mixed legal system of English common law and civil law with European law supremacy.
International law organization participation. Accepts compulsory ICJ jurisdiction with reservations. Accepts SIC jurisdiction.
Citizenship. Citizenship by birth.
No.
Citizenship by descent only.
At least one parent must be a citizen of Cyprus.
Dual citizenship recognized.
Yes.
Residency requirement for naturalization.
7 years.
Suffrage. 18 years of age. Universal.
Executive branch. Chief of State.
President Nikos, Nick Anastasiadis. Since the 28th of February 2013, the President is both Chief of State and Head of Government. Note: Vice Presidency reserved for a Turkish Cypriot, but vacant since 1974 because Turkish Cypriots do not participate in the Cyprus government.
Head of Government.
President Nick Anastasiadis. Since the 28th of February 2013.
Cabinet.
Council of Ministers appointed by the President. Note: under the 1960 Constitution, 3 of the ministerial posts reserved for Turkish Cypriots, appointed by the Vice President. Positions currently filled by Greek Cypriots.
Elections. Appointments.
President directly elected by absolute majority popular vote in 2 rounds if needed for a 5-year term. Election last held on the 28th of January 2018 with a runoff on the 4th of February 2018. Next to be held in February 2023.
Election results.
Nick Anastasiadis re-elected president in 2nd round. Percent of vote in 1st round. Nick Anastasiadis, Dicey, 35.5%. Stavros Marles, Akel, 30.2%. Nicholas Papadopoulos, Deco, 25.7%. Other 8.6%. Percent of vote in 2nd round. Nick Anastasiadis 56%. Stavros Marles 44%.
Note:
Mustafa Akinci assumed office as President of the TRUK on the 30th of April 2015. Percent of vote in 1st round. The 19th of April 2015. Dervis Iroglu 28.2%. Mustafa Akinci 26.9%, other 44.9%, percent of vote in runoff. The 26th of April 2015, Akinci 60.5%, Iroglu 39.5%. 2 Finoheman as Trump Prime Minister, since the 2nd of February 2018.
Legislative branch. Description.
Area under government control.
Unicameral House of Representatives or Vulayan to Prosopon, 80 seats. 56 assigned to Greek Cypriots, 24 to Turkish Cypriots, but only those assigned to Greek Cypriots are filled. Members directly elected by both proportional representation and preferential vote. Members serve 5-year terms. Area administered by Turkish Cypriots.
Unicameral Assembly of the Republic or Cumhuriyet Meclisi, 50 seats. Members directly elected by proportional representation vote serve 5-year terms.
Elections.
Area under government control.
Last held on the 22nd of May 2016, next to be held in May 2021. area administered by Turkish Cypriots.
Last held on the 7th of January 2018, next to be held in 2023.
Election results.
Area under government control.
House of Representatives, percent of vote by party, DICE 30.7%, AGL 25.7%, DICO 14.5%, KSID 6.2%, SP 6%, Solidarity Movement 5.2%, Other 11.7%, seats by party, DICE 18, AGL 16, DICO 9, KSID 3, Citizens Alliance 3, 2 left the party in 2017 and 2018 due to disagreements over the party's policy regarding the presidential election campaign. The 2 became independent MPs. Solidarity Movement 3, Other 4, area administered by Turkish Cypriots.
Assembly of the Republic, percent of vote by party, up 35.6%, 20.9%, 17.1%, 8.6%, 7.8%, 7%, 3%. Seats by party, up 21, 12, 9, 3, 2.
Judicial branch, highest courts.
Supreme Court of Cyprus, consists of 13 judges, including the court president. Note, the highest court in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRNC, is the Supreme Court, consists of 8 judges, including the court president.
Judge selection and term of office.
Republic of Cyprus Supreme Court judges appointed by the President of the Republic upon the recommendation of the Supreme Court judges. Judges can serve until age 68. Supreme Court judges appointed by the Supreme Council of Judicature, a 12-member body of judges, the Attorney General, appointees by the President of the and by the Legislative Assembly, and members elected by the Bar Association. Judge tenure.
Subordinate courts.
Republic of Cyprus District Courts, Assize Courts, Administrative Court, Specialized Courts for issues relating to family, industrial disputes, the military, and rent control. Assize Courts, District and Family Courts.
Political parties and leaders. Area under government control. Citizens Alliance or SP. Georgos Lilikas.
Democratic Party or DIKO. Nicholas Papadopoulos.
Democratic Rally or DICE. Avarofni Afitu.
Ecological and Environmental Movement or KOP. Green Party. Georgos Perdikis.
I, the Citizen or EAUP. Georgios Counteris.
Movement of Social Democrats United Democratic Centre Union or XEDEC. Marinos Sisopoulos.
National Popular Front or ELAM. Christos Christou.
Progressive Party of the Working People or AKEL. Communist Party. Andros Kyprianou.
Solidarity Movement, Ilnithiachares.
United Democrats or ED. Praxila Antoniadou.
Area administered by Turkish Cypriots. Communal Democracy Party or TDP. Simaloziagit.
Communal Liberation Party New Forces or TBIG. Mehmet Kakici.
Cyprus Socialist Party or KSP. Mehmet Bayarinsi.
Democratic Party or DP. Serdadentis.
National Democratic Party or NDP. Barebuskavotku.
National Unity Party or UBP. Hussein Ozgagan.
New Cyprus Party or YKP. Murat Kanatli.
People's Party or HP. Kudret Ozsay.
Rebirth Party or YDP. Erhan Arikli.
Republican Turkish Party or CTP. Tufan Herman.
United Cyprus Party or BKP. Izzet Izkin.
International Organisation Participation Australia Group, C, CD, C, EBT, ECB, IB, EMU, EU, FAO, EA, IBD, ICAO, ICC, National Committees, ICT, ICM, IDA, IFAD, IFX, EHO, ELO, IMF, EMO, IMSO, Interpol, IOC, IOM, IPU, ISO, ITSO, ITU, ITURC, NGOs, MEGA, NAM, NSC, OAS, Observer, OIF, OPC, OS, ICA, UN, UNCTAD, UNESCO, UNHCR, UNIDO, UNIFIL, UNUTO, UPU, UCO, UF2, NGOs, WHO, WIPO, WMO, RITO.
Diplomatic representation in the U.S. Chief of Mission.
Ambassador Marios Lysiotis, since the 17th of September 2018.
Chancery.
2211 R Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20008.
Telephone.
1-202-462-5772 462-0873.
Fax.
1-202-483-6710.
Consulates General.
New York.
Note.
Representative of the Turkish Cypriot community in the U.S. is İsmet Korukoglu, Office at 1667 K Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Telephone 1-202-887-6198.
Diplomatic representation from the U.S. Chief of Mission.
Ambassador Judith Gale Garber, since the 18th of March 2019.
Embassy.
Corner of Mitachiu and Plutarch Streets, 2407 Ngome, Nicosia.
Mailing address.
P.O. Box 24536, 1385 Nicosia.
Telephone.
357 22 393,939.
Fax.
357 22 393,344.
Flag description. Centered on a white field is a copper-colored silhouette of the island. The island has long been famous for its copper deposits. Above two olive-green-colored, crossed olive branches. The branches symbolize the hope for peace and reconciliation between the Greek and Turkish communities.
Note:
one of only two national flags that uses a map as a design element. The flag of Kosovo is the other.
Note:
the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus flag retains the white field of the Cyprus national flag but displays narrow horizontal red stripes positioned a small distance from the top and bottom edges, between which are centered a red crescent and a red five-pointed star. The banner is modeled after the Turkish national flag but with the colors reversed.
National symbol, S. Cypriot mouflon, wild sheep, white dove. National colors,
blue, white.
National anthem, name,
Moses Tiniltherian, Hymn to Liberty.
Lyrics/music,
Dionysios Solomos, Nikolaos Mansaros.
Note:
adopted 1960, Cyprus adopted the Greek national anthem as its own. The Turkish Cypriot community in Cyprus uses the anthem of Turkey.
Economy.
Cyprus.
Economy overview. The area of the Republic of Cyprus under government control has a market economy dominated by a services sector that accounts for more than 4/5 of GDP. Tourism, finance, shipping, and real estate have traditionally been the most important services. Cyprus has been a member of the EU since May 2004 and adopted the euro as its national currency in January 2008.
During the first 5 years of EU membership, the Cyprus economy grew at an average rate of about 4%, with unemployment between 2004 and 2008 averaging about 4%. However, the economy tipped into recession in 2009 as the ongoing global financial crisis and resulting low demand hit the tourism and construction sectors. An overextended banking sector with excessive exposure to Greek debt added to the contraction. Cyprus' biggest two banks were among the largest holders of Greek bonds in Europe and had a substantial presence in Greece through bank branches and subsidiaries. Following numerous downgrades of its credit rating, Cyprus lost access to international capital markets in May 2011. In July 2012, Cyprus became the fifth Eurozone government to request an economic bailout program from the European Commission, European Central Bank and the International Monetary Fund, known collectively as the Troika.
Shortly after the election of President Nikos Anastasiades in February 2013, Cyprus reached an agreement with the Troika on a $13 billion bailout that triggered a 2-week bank closure and the imposition of capital controls that remained partially in place until April 2015. Cyprus' two largest banks merged and the combined entity was recapitalized through conversion of some large bank deposits to shares and imposition of losses on bank bondholders. As with other EU countries, the Troika conditioned the bailout on passing financial and structural reforms and privatizing state-owned enterprises. Despite downsizing and restructuring, the Cypriot financial sector remains burdened by the largest stock of non-performing loans in the Eurozone, equal to nearly half of all loans. Since the bailout, Cyprus has received positive appraisals by the Troika and outperformed fiscal targets but has struggled to overcome political opposition to bailout-mandated legislation, particularly regarding privatizations. The rate of non-performing loans, NPLs, is still very high at around 49%, and growth would accelerate if Cypriot banks could increase the pace of resolution of NPLs.
In October 2013, a US-Israeli consortium completed preliminary appraisals of hydrocarbon deposits in Cyprus' exclusive economic zone, EEZ, which estimated gross mean reserves of about 130 billion cubic meters. Though exploration continues in Cyprus, no additional commercially exploitable reserves have been identified. Developing offshore hydrocarbon resources remains a critical component of the government's economic recovery efforts. but development has been delayed as a result of regional developments and disagreements about exploitation methods.
GDP, purchasing power parity, $31.78 billion.
$30.59 billion.
$29.58 billion.
Note.
Data in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.
129.
GDP, official exchange rate. $21.7 billion.
GDP, real growth rate, 3.9%.
3.4%.
2%.
Country comparison to the world.
81.
GDP, per capita. PPP, $37,200.
$36,100.
$34,900.
Note.
Data are in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.
53.
Gross national saving, 13.7% of GDP.
11.9% of GDP.
12.8% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
140.
GDP, composition, by end use. Household consumption.
68.7%.
Government consumption.
14.9%.
Investment in fixed capital.
21.1%.
Investment in inventories.
Minus 0.7%.
Exports of goods and services.
63.8%.
Imports of goods and services.
Minus 67.8%.
GDP, composition, by sector of origin. Agriculture.
2%.
Industry.
12.5%.
Services.
85.5%.
Agriculture, products. Citrus, vegetables, barley, grapes, olives, vegetables, poultry, pork, lamb, dairy, cheese.
Industries, tourism, food and beverage processing, cement and gypsum, ship repair and refurbishment, textiles, light chemicals, metal products, wood, paper, stone and clay products.
Industrial production growth rate, 13.4%.
Country comparison to the world.
5.
Labor force, 426,600.
Country comparison to the world.
158.
Labor force, by occupation. Agriculture.
3.8%.
Industry.
15.2%.
Services.
81%.
Unemployment rate, 11.1%.
13%.
Country comparison to the world.
150.
Population below poverty line. Now.
Household income or consumption by percentage share. Lowest 10%.
3.3%.
Highest 10%.
28.8%.
Distribution of family income. Gini index. 34.8.
32.4.
Country comparison to the world.
99.
Budget. Revenues.
8.663 billion.
Expenditures.
8.275 billion.
Taxes and other revenues. 39.9% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
40.
Budget surplus, plus, or deficit, dash, 1.8% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
17.
Public debt. 97.5% of GDP.
106.6% of GDP.
Note.
Data cover general government debt and include debt instruments issued, or owned, by government entities other than the Treasury. The data include Treasury debt held by foreign entities, the data exclude debt issued by subnational entities, as well as intragovernmental debt. Intragovernmental debt consists of Treasury borrowings from surpluses in the social funds, such as for retirement, medical care, and unemployment.
Country comparison to the world.
19.
Fiscal year. Calendar year.
Inflation rate, consumer prices, 0.7%.
Minus 1.2%.
Country comparison to the world.
35.
Central bank discount rate, 0%. The 31st of December 2017.
0%. The 31st of December 2010.
Note.
This is the European Central Bank's rate on the marginal lending facility, which offers overnight credit to banks in the euro area.
Country comparison to the world.
150.
Commercial bank prime lending rate, 4.13%.
4.33%.
Country comparison to the world.
164.
Stock of Naira money, $5.152 billion.
$4.174 billion.
Note.
See entry for the European Union for money supply for the entire euro area. The European Central Bank, ECB, controls monetary policy for the 18 members of the Economic and Monetary Union, EMU, Individual members of the EMU do not control the quantity of money circulating within their own borders.
Country comparison to the world.
102.
Stock of broad money, $5.152 billion.
$4.174 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
105.
Stock of domestic credit, $55.61 billion.
$50.84 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
63.
Market value of publicly traded shares, $2.692 billion.
$4.031 billion.
$2.105 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
96.
Current account balance, minus $1.458 billion.
Minus $984 million.
Country comparison to the world.
154.
Exports, $2.805 billion.
$2.7 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
131.
Exports, partners, Libya 9.4%, Greece 7.7%, Norway 6.7%, UK 5.3%, Germany 4.1%.
Exports, commodities, citrus, potatoes, pharmaceuticals, cement, clothing.
Imports, $7.935 billion.
$7.153 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
111.
Imports, commodities, consumer goods, petroleum and lubricants, machinery, transport equipment.
Imports, partners, Greece 19%, Italy 7.5%, China 7.4%, South Korea 7.3%, Germany 7%, Netherlands 5.1%, UK 5%. Israel 4.1%.
Reserves of foreign exchange in gold, $888.2 million.
$817.7 million.
Country comparison to the world.
136.
Debt, external, $95.28 billion.
$103.5 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
50.
Stock of direct foreign investment at home, $232.5 billion.
$174.5 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
28.
Stock of direct foreign investment abroad, $222.9 billion.
$175.3 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
26.
Exchange rates, euros, EUR, per US dollar.
0.885.
0.903.
0.9214.
0.885.
0.7634.
Economy of the area administered by Turkish Cypriots.
Economy of the area administered by Turkish Cypriots. Field listing.
Economy overview.
Even though the whole of the island is part of the EU, implementation of the EU acquis communautaire has been suspended in the area administered by Turkish Cypriots, known locally as the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRNC, until political conditions permit the reunification of the island. The market-based economy of the TRNC is roughly one-fifth the size of its southern neighbor and is likewise dominated by the service sector, with a large portion of the population employed by the government. In 2012, the latest year for which data are available, the services sector, which includes the public sector, trade, tourism, and education, contributed 58.7% to economic output. In the same year, light manufacturing and agriculture contributed 2.7% and 6.2%, respectively. Manufacturing is limited mainly to food and beverages, furniture and fixtures, construction materials, metal and non-metal products, textiles and clothing. The TRNC maintains few economic ties with the Republic of Cyprus outside of trade in construction materials. Since its creation, the TRNC has heavily relied on financial assistance from Turkey, which supports the TRNC defense, telecommunications, water and postal services. The Turkish lira is the preferred currency, though foreign currencies are widely accepted in business transactions. The TRNC remains vulnerable to the Turkish market and monetary policy because of its use of the Turkish lira. The TRNC weathered the European financial crisis relatively unscathed, compared to the Republic of Cyprus, because of the lack of financial sector development, the health of the Turkish economy, and its separation from the rest of the island. The TRNC economy experienced growth estimated at 2.8% in 2013 and 2.3% in 2014 and is projected to grow 3.8% in 2015.
GDP, purchasing power parity.
$1.829 billion.
GDP, real growth rate.
2.3%.
2.8%.
GDP, per capita.
$11,700.
GDP, composition by sector.
Agriculture.
6.2%, industry.
35.1%. Services.
58.7%.
Labor force.
95,030.
Labor force by occupation.
Agriculture.
14.5%. Industry.
29%, services.
56.5%.
Unemployment rate.
9.4%.
Population below poverty line.
Percent not.
Inflation rate.
11.4%.
Budget.
Revenues.
$2.5 billion. Expenditures.
$2.5 billion.
Agriculture, products.
Citrus fruit, dairy, potatoes, grapes, olives, poultry, lamb.
Industries.
Foodstuffs, textiles, clothing, ship repair, clay, gypsum, copper, furniture.
Industrial production growth rate.
Minus 0.3%.
Electricity production.
998.9 million.
Electricity consumption.
797.9 million.
Exports.
$68.1 million. F.O.B.
Export, commodities.
Citrus, dairy, potatoes, textiles.
Export, partners.
Turkey 40%. Direct trade between the area administered by Turkish Cypriots and the area under government control remains limited.
Imports.
$1.2 billion. F.O.B.
Import, commodities.
Vehicles, fuel, cigarettes, food, minerals, chemicals, machinery.
Import, partners.
Turkey 60%. Direct trade between the area administered by Turkish Cypriots and the area under government control remains limited.
Reserves of foreign exchange and gold.
Not.
Debt, external.
Not.
Currency, code.
Turkish New Lira, YTL.
Exchange rates.
Turkish New Lira to US 1.9, 1.8, 1.668, 1.5026, 155.
Energy.
Cyprus.
Electricity access, electrification, total population.
100%.
Electricity, production. 4.618 billion kWh.
Country comparison to the world.
123.
Electricity consumption. 4.355 billion.
Country comparison to the world.
126.
Electricity, exports, 0 kilowatt-hours.
Country comparison to the world.
126.
Electricity imports 0 kilowatt-hours.
Country comparison to the world.
140.
Electricity, installed generating capacity. 1.77 million kW.
Country comparison to the world.
117.
Electricity from fossil fuels. 85% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
70.
Electricity from nuclear fuels. 0% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
76.
Electricity from hydroelectric plants. 0% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
166.
Electricity from other renewable sources. 15% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
58.
Crude oil production 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
125.
Crude oil exports 0 barrel day.
Country comparison to the world.
113.
Crude oil imports 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
116.
Crude oil proved reserves 0 barrel.
Country comparison to the world.
122.
Refined petroleum products production 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
135.
Refined petroleum products consumption 49,000 barrel day.
Country comparison to the world.
106.
Refined petroleum products exports 500 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
110.
Refined petroleum products imports 49,240 barrel day.
Country comparison to the world.
84.
Natural gas production 0 qm.
Country comparison to the world.
122.
Natural gas consumption 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
138.
Natural gas exports 0 qm.
Country comparison to the world.
92.
Natural gas imports 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
115.
Natural gas proved reserves 141.6 billion qm.
Country comparison to the world.
47.
Carbon dioxide emissions from consumption of energy 7.72 million mount.
Country comparison to the world.
118.
Communications.
Cyprus.
Telephones, fixed lines, total subscriptions.
317,241.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
26.
Country comparison to the world.
110.
Telephones, mobile cellular, total subscriptions.
1,176,801.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
96.
Country comparison to the world.
157.
Telephone system, general assessment.
Despite the growth of Cyprus's telecom sector, the market overall continues to be dominated by the incumbent, Cyta, which is still fully owned by the state. Improved regulatory circumstances, especially in relation to network interconnection and access, has given competing operators the certainty to invest in network infrastructure, to launch competing services.
Domestic.
Open wire, fiber optic cable, and microwave radio relay. Fixed line teledensity is 26 per 100, 96 per 100 for mobile cellular.
International.
Country code 357. Area administered by Turkish Cypriots uses the country code of Turkey. 90. A number of submarine cables, including the CME-WE3, combined to provide connectivity to Western Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Tropospheric scatter, satellite Earth stations, 8, 3 Intelsat, 1 Atlantic Ocean and 2 Indian Ocean, 2 Eutelsat, 2 Intersputnik, and 1 Arabsat. Quantum cable contracts for new submarine cable linking to Greece and Israel. Telecom Italy Sparkle and Cyta complete the Kimonas cable subsystem linking Cyprus with Crete. Cyta upgrades transmission capacity on that North cable system to 500 gigabits per second.
Broadcast media, mixture of state and privately run TV and radio services. The public broadcaster operates 2 TV channels and 4 radio stations, 6 private TV broadcasters, satellite and cable TV services including telecasts from Greece and Turkey, and a number of private radio stations are available. In areas administered by Turkish Cypriots, there are 2 public TV stations, 4 public radio stations, and 7 privately owned TV and 21 radio broadcast stations plus 6 radio and 4 TV channels of local universities, plus 1 radio station of military, security forces and 1 radio station of civil defense cooperation, as well as relay stations from Turkey.
Internet country code. .c.
Internet users, total.
915,036.
Percent of population.
75.9%.
Country comparison to the world.
134.
Broadband, fixed subscriptions, total.
295,686.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
24.
Country comparison to the world.
95.
Transportation.
Cyprus.
National Air Transport System. Number of registered air carriers.
2.
Inventory of registered aircraft operated by air carriers.
6.
Annual passenger traffic on registered air carriers.
23,404.
Annual freight traffic on registered air carriers.
230,600 Mount km.
Civil aircraft registration country code prefix 5B.
Airports. 15.
Country comparison to the world.
145.
Airports, with paved runways, total.
13.
2,438 to 3,047 m.
7.
1,524 to 2,437 m.
2.
914 to 1,523 m.
3.
Under 914 m.
1.
Airports, with unpaved runways, total.
2.
Under 914 m.
2.
Heliports, 9.
Pipelines, 0 kilometers oil.
Roadways, total.
20,006 kilometers.
Government control.
13,006 kilometers, includes 2,277 kilometers of expressways.
Paved.
8,564 kilometers.
Unpaved.
4,442 kilometers.
Turkish Cypriot control.
7,000 kilometers.
Country comparison to the world.
88.
Merchant marine.
Merchant marine may be defined as all ships engaged in the carriage of goods, or all commercial vessels, as opposed to all non-military ships, which excludes tugs, fishing vessels, offshore oil rigs, etc.
Total.
1,020.
By type.
Bulk carrier 311, container ship 184, general cargo 177, oil tanker 51, other 297.
Country comparison to the world.
24.
Ports and terminals. Major seaport. S.
Area under government control.
Larnaca, Limassol, Vasilikos.
Area administered by Turkish Cypriots.
Famagusta, Kyrenia.
Military and security.
Cyprus.
Military expenditures 1.78% of GDP.
1.68% of GDP.
1.54% of GDP.
1.6% of GDP.
1.66% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
62.
Military branches. Republic of Cyprus.
Cypriot National Guard, Ethniki Fraura, F, includes naval and air elements, Northern Cyprus.
Turkish Cypriot Security Force. GKK.
Military service age and obligation. Cypriot National Guard, CNG.
18 to 50 years of age for compulsory military service for all Greek Cypriot males. 17 years of age for voluntary service. 14-month service obligation.
Transnational issues.
Cyprus.
Disputes. International hostilities in 1974 divided the island into two de facto autonomous entities, the internationally recognized Cypriot government and a Turkish Cypriot community. North Cyprus, the 1,000 strong UN peacekeeping force in Cyprus, UNFICYP, has served in Cyprus since 1964 and maintains the buffer zone between north and south. On the 1st of May 2004, Cyprus entered the EU still divided, with the EU's body of legislation and standards, acquis communautaire, suspended in the north. Turkey protests Cypriot government creating hydrocarbon blocks and maritime boundary with Lebanon in March 2007.
Refugees and internally displaced persons. Refugees. Country of origin.
5,274, Syria. 217,000, both Turkish and Greek Cypriots, many displaced since 1974.
Cyprus.
Officially there.
Republic of Cyprus.
Is an island country in the eastern Mediterranean and the third largest and third most populous island in the Mediterranean, located south of Turkey, west of Syria and Lebanon, northwest of Israel, north of Egypt, and southeast of Greece. The earliest known human activity on the island dates to around the 10th millennium BC. Archaeological remains from this period include the well-preserved Neolithic village of Kirukisha, and Cyprus is home to some of the oldest water wells in the world. Cyprus was settled by Mycenaean Greeks in two waves in the 2nd millennium BC. As a strategic location in the Middle East, it was subsequently occupied by several major powers, including the empires of the Assyrians, Egyptians and Persians, from whom the island was seized in 333 BC by Alexander the Great. Subsequent rule by Ptolemaic Egypt, the Classical and Eastern Roman Empire, Arab caliphates for a short period, the French Lusignan dynasty and the Venetians, was followed by over 3 centuries of Ottoman rule between 1571 and 1878. Until 1914, Cyprus was placed under the UK's administration based on the Cyprus Convention in 1878 and was formally annexed by the UK in 1914, while Turkish Cypriots made up 18% of the population. The partition of Cyprus and creation of a Turkish state in the north became a policy of Turkish Cypriot leaders and Turkey in the 1950s. Turkish leaders for a period advocated the annexation of Cyprus to Turkey as Cyprus was considered an extension of Anatolia by them, while, since the 19th century, the majority Greek Cypriot population and its Orthodox Church had been pursuing union with Greece, which became a Greek national policy in the 1950s. Following nationalist violence in the 1950s, Cyprus was granted independence in 1960. The crisis of 1963–64 brought further intercommunal violence between Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots. which displaced more than 25,000 Turkish Cypriots into enclaves and brought the end of Turkish Cypriot representation in the Republic. On the 15th of July 1974, a coup d'état was staged by Greek Cypriot nationalists and elements of the Greek military junta in an attempt at the incorporation of Cyprus into Greece. This action precipitated the Turkish invasion of Cyprus on 20 July, which led to the capture of the present-day territory of northern Cyprus in the following month, after a ceasefire collapsed, and the displacement of over 150,000 Greek Cypriots and 50,000 Turkish Cypriots. A separate Turkish Cypriot state in the north was established by unilateral declaration in 1983. The move was widely condemned by the international community, with Turkey alone recognizing the new state. These events and the resulting political situation are matters of a continuing dispute. Sovereignty over the entire island, including its territorial waters and exclusive economic zone, with the exception of the sovereign base areas of Akrotiri and Helia, which remain under the UK's control according to the London and Zurich agreements. However, the Republic of Cyprus is
de facto
partitioned into two main parts. The area under the effective control of the Republic, located in the south and west, and comprising about 59% of the island's area, and the north, administered by the self-declared Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, covering about 36% of the island's area. Another nearly 4% of the island's area is covered by the UN buffer zone. The international community considers the northern part of the island as territory of the Republic of Cyprus occupied by Turkish forces. The occupation is viewed as illegal under international law, amounting to illegal occupation of EU territory since Cyprus became a member of the European Union. Cyprus is a major tourist destination in the Mediterranean. With an advanced, high-income economy and a very high Human Development Index, the Republic of Cyprus has been a member of the Commonwealth since 1961 and was a founding member of the Non-Aligned Movement until it joined the European Union on 1 May 2004. On 1 January 2008, the Republic of Cyprus joined the Eurozone.
Etymology.
The earliest attested reference to
Cyprus
is the 15th century BC Mycenaean Greek,
Kupiri, Joe,
meaning Cypriot Greek, written in Linear Bisyllabic script. The classical Greek form of the name is
Kypros.
The etymology of the name is unknown. Suggestions include the Greek word for the Mediterranean cypress tree,
Copressus sempervirens,
?P? SS?
Kyprosos,
The Greek name of the henna tree,
Lawsonia alba,
P?
Kypros,
An Indo-Cypriot word for copper. It has been suggested, for example, that it has roots in the Sumerian word for copper,
Zubar,
or for bronze,
Kubar,
from the large deposits of copper ore found on the island. The standard demonym relating to Cyprus or its people or culture is
Cypriot.
The terms
Cypriot
and
Cyprian
are also used, though less frequently. The state's official name in Greek and Turkish literally translates as Cypriot Republic in English, but this translation is not used officially, in favor of Republic of Cyprus instead.
History. Prehistoric and ancient Cyprus.
The earliest confirmed site of human activity on Cyprus is Etok Remnos, situated on the south coast, indicating that hunter-gatherers were active on the island from around 10,000 BC. With settled village communities dating from 8200 BC. The arrival of the first humans correlates with the extinction of the dwarf hippos and dwarf elephants. Water wells discovered by archaeologists in western Cyprus are believed to be among the oldest in the world, dated at 9,000 to 10,500 years old. The grave is estimated to be 9,500 years old, 7,500 and NBSP predating ancient Egyptian civilization and pushing back the earliest known feline-human association significantly. The remarkably well-preserved Neolithic village of Karakisha is a UNESCO World Heritage Site dating to approximately 6800 BC. During the Late Bronze Age the island experienced two waves of Greek settlement. The first wave consisted of Mycenaean Greek traders who started visiting Cyprus around 1400 BC. A major wave of Greek settlement is believed believed to have taken place following the Bronze Age collapse of Mycenaean Greece from 1100 to 1050 and NBSP:BC, with the island's predominantly Greek character dating from this period. Cyprus occupies an important role in Greek mythology, being the birthplace of Aphrodite and Adonis, and home to King Cinyras, Teucer and Pygmalion. Beginning in the 8th century and NBSP:BC, Phoenician colonies were founded on the south coast of Cyprus, near present-day Larnaca and Salamis. It was ruled by Assyria for a century starting in 708 and NBSP:BC, before a brief spell under Egyptian rule and eventually Persian rule in 545 and NBSP:BC. Beginning in 649, Cyprus endured several attacks launched by raiders from the Levant, which continued for the next 300 years. Many were quick piratical raids, but others were large-scale attacks in which many Cypriots were slaughtered and great wealth carried off or destroyed. He used it as a major supply base that was relatively safe from the Saracens. A year later Richard sold the island to the Knights Templar, who, following a bloody revolt, in turn sold it to Guy of Lusignan. His brother and successor Aimery was recognized as King of Cyprus by Henry VI, Holy Roman Emperor, and the Lusignan royal household even marrying Greeks. This included King John II of Cyprus, who married Helena Palaiologina.
Cyprus under the Ottoman Empire.
In 1570, a full-scale Ottoman assault with 60,000 troops brought the island under Ottoman control. Despite stiff resistance by the inhabitants of Nicosia and Famagusta, Ottoman forces capturing Cyprus massacred many Greek and Armenian Christian inhabitants. The previous Latin elite were destroyed, and the first significant demographic change since antiquity took place with the formation of a Muslim community. Soldiers who fought in the conquest settled on the island, and Turkish peasants and craftsmen were brought to the island from Anatolia. This new community also included banished Anatolian tribes, undesirable persons and members of various troublesome Muslim sects, as well as a number of new converts on the island. The Ottomans abolished the feudal system previously in place and applied the millet system to Cyprus, under which non-Muslim peoples were governed by their own religious authorities. In a reversal from the days of Latin rule, the head of the Church of Cyprus was invested as leader of the Greek Cypriot population and acted as mediator between Christian Greek Cypriots and the Ottoman authorities. This status ensured that the Church of Cyprus was in a position to end the constant encroachments of the Roman Catholic Church. Ottoman rule of Cyprus was at times indifferent, at times oppressive, depending on the temperaments of the sultans and local officials, and the island began over 250 years of economic decline. The ratio of Muslims to Christians fluctuated throughout the period of Ottoman domination. In 1777–78, 47,000 Muslims constituted a majority over the island's 37,000 Christians. By 1872, the population of the island had risen to 144,000, comprising 44,000 Muslims and 100,000 Christians. The Muslim population included numerous crypto-Christians, including the line of Bambaki, a crypto-Catholic community that arose due to religious persecution of the Catholic community by the Ottoman authorities. This community would assimilate into the Turkish Cypriot community during British rule. As soon as the Greek War of Independence broke out in 1821, several Greek Cypriots left for Greece to join the Greek forces. In response, the Ottoman governor of Cyprus arrested and executed 486 prominent Greek Cypriots, including the Archbishop of Cyprus, Kyprianos, and 4 other bishops. In 1828, modern Greece's first president Ioannis Kapodistrias called for union of Cyprus with Greece, and numerous minor uprisings took place. Reaction to Ottoman misrule led to uprisings by both Greek and Turkish Cypriots, although none were successful. After centuries of neglect by the Turks, the unrelenting poverty of most of the people, and the ever-present tax collectors fuel Greek nationalism, and by the 20th century idea of
enosis,
or union, with newly independent Greece was firmly rooted among Greek Cypriots.
Cyprus under the British Empire.
In the aftermath of the Russo-Turkish War 1877–1878 and the Congress of Berlin, Cyprus was leased to the British Empire, which de facto took over its administration in 1878. Though, in terms of sovereignty, Cyprus remained de
jure
Ottoman territory until the 5th of November 1914, together with Egypt and Sudan, and in 1925 it was declared a British Crown colony. During the Second World War, many enlisted in the Cyprus Regiment. The Greek Cypriot population, meanwhile, had become hopeful that the British administration would lead to
enosis.
The idea of
Enosis
was historically part of their
megali idea.
a greater political ambition of a Greek state encompassing the territories with Greek inhabitants in the former Ottoman Empire, including Cyprus and Asia Minor with a capital in Constantinople, and was actively pursued by the Cypriot Orthodox Church, which had its members educated in Greece. These religious officials, together with Greek military officers and professionals, some of whom still pursued their
megali idea,
would later found the guerrilla organization
Ethniki Organosis Kyprian Agoniston, or
National Organization of Cypriot Fighters Oka. The Greek Cypriots viewed the island as historically Greek and believed that union with Greece was a natural right. Initially, the Turkish Cypriots favored the continuation of the British rule. However, they were alarmed by the Greek Cypriot calls for
enosis,
as they saw the union of Crete with Greece, which led to the exodus of Cretan Turks, as a precedent to be avoided, and they took a pro-partition stance in response to the militant activity of Oka. The Turkish Cypriots also viewed themselves as a distinct ethnic group of the island and believed in their having a separate right to self-determination from Greek Cypriots. Meanwhile, in the 1950s, Turkish leader Menderes considered Cyprus an extension of Anatolia, rejected the partition of Cyprus along ethnic lines and favored the annexation of the whole island to Turkey. Nationalistic slogans, centered on the idea that Cyprus is Turkish, and the ruling party declared Cyprus to be a part of the Turkish homeland that was vital to its security. Upon realizing the fact that the Turkish Cypriot population was only 20% of the islanders, made annexation unfeasible. The national policy was changed to favor partition. The slogan "Partition or Death" was frequently used in Turkish Cypriot and Turkish protests starting in the late 1950s and continuing throughout the 1960s. Although after the Zurich and London conferences Turkey seemed to accept the existence of the Cypriot state and to distance itself from its policy of favoring the partition of the island, the goal of the Turkish and Turkish Cypriot leaders remained that of creating an independent Turkish state in the northern part of the island. In January 1950, the Church of Cyprus organized a referendum under the supervision of clerics and with no Turkish Cypriot participation, where 96% of the participating Greek Cypriots voted in favor of
enosis.
The Greeks were 82% of the total island's population at the time census 1946. Restricted autonomy under a constitution was proposed by the British administration but eventually rejected. In 1955 the Oka organization was founded, seeking union with Greece through armed struggle. At the same time the Turkish resistance organization TMT, calling for taksim, or partition, was established by the Turkish Cypriots as a counterweight. British officials also tolerated the creation of the Turkish underground organization TMT. The Secretary of State for the Colonies in a letter dated 15 July 1958 had advised the governor of Cyprus not to act against TMT despite its illegal actions so as not to harm British relations with the Turkish government. The UK retained the two sovereign base areas of Akrotiri and Helia, while government posts and public offices were allocated by ethnic quotas, giving the minority Turkish Cypriots a permanent veto, 30% in parliament and administration, and granting the three mother states guarantor rights. However, the division of power as foreseen by the constitution soon resulted in legal impasses and discontent on both sides, and nationalist militants started training again, with the military support of Greece and Turkey respectively. The Greek Cypriot leadership believed that the rights given to Turkish Cypriots under the 1960 constitution were too extensive and designed the Akritos Plan, which was aimed at reforming the constitution in favor of Greek Cypriots, persuading the international community about the correctness of the changes and violently subjugating Turkish Cypriots in a few days should they not accept the plan. Tensions were heightened when Cypriot President Archbishop Makarios III called for constitutional changes, which were rejected by Turkey and opposed by Turkish Cypriots. destruction of 109 Turkish Cypriot or mixed villages and displacement of 25,000 to 30,000 Turkish Cypriots. The crisis resulted in the end of the Turkish Cypriot involvement in the administration and their claiming that it had lost its legitimacy. Turkish Cypriots started living in enclaves. The republic's structure was changed, unilaterally, by Makarios, and Nicosia was divided by the Green Line, with the deployment of UNFICYP troops. In response to the continuing Cypriot intercommunal violence, but this was stopped by a strongly worded telegram from the U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson on 5 June, warning that the U.S. would not stand beside Turkey in case of a consequential Soviet invasion of Turkish territory. Meanwhile, by 1964,
enosis
was a Greek policy that could not be abandoned. Makarios and the Greek Prime Minister Georgios Papandreou agreed that
enosis
should be the ultimate aim, and King Constantine wished Cyprus a speedy union with the mother country. Greece dispatched 10,000 troops to Cyprus to counter a possible Turkish invasion.
1974 coup, Turkish invasion and division.
On the 15th of July 1974, the Greek military junta under Dimitrios Ioannidis carried out a coup d'état in Cyprus, to unite the island with Greece. The coup ousted President Makarios III and replaced him with pro-enosis nationalist Nikos Sampson. In response to the coup, 5 days later, on the 20th of July 1974, the Turkish army invaded the island, citing a right to intervene to restore the constitutional order from the 1960 Treaty of Guarantee. This justification has been rejected by the United Nations and the international community. The Turkish Air Force began bombing Greek positions in Cyprus, and hundreds of paratroopers were dropped in the area between Nicosia and Kyrenia, where well-armed Turkish Cypriot enclaves had been long established, while off the Kyrenia coast, Turkish troop ships landed 6,000 men as well as tanks, trucks and armored vehicles. 3 days later, when a ceasefire had been agreed, Turkey had landed 30,000 troops on the island and captured Kyrenia, the corridor linking Kyrenia to Nicosia, and the Turkish Cypriot quarter of Nicosia itself. The invasion resulted in the seizure of Morphou, Carpus, Famagusta and the Messoria. International pressure led to a ceasefire, and by then 36% of the island had been taken over by the Turks and 180,000 Greek Cypriots had been evicted from their homes in the north. At the same time, around 50,000 Turkish Cypriots were displaced to the north and settled in the properties of the displaced Greek Cypriots. Among a variety of sanctions against Turkey, in mid-1975 the U.S. Congress imposed an arms embargo on Turkey for using U.S.-supplied equipment during the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974. There were 1,534 Greek Cypriots and 502 Turkish Cypriots missing as a result of the fighting.
Post-division.
After the restoration of constitutional order and the return of Archbishop Makarios III to Cyprus in December 1974, Turkish troops remained, occupying the northeastern portion of the island. In 1983, the Turkish Cypriot leader proclaimed the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus (TRNC), which is recognized only by Turkey. The Turkish invasion, the ensuing occupation and the declaration of independence by the TRNC have been condemned by United Nations resolutions, which are reaffirmed by the Security Council every year. The last major effort to settle the Cyprus dispute was the Annan Plan in 2004, drafted by the then Secretary-General, Kofi Annan. The plan was put to a referendum in both northern Cyprus and the Cypriot Republic. 65% of Turkish Cypriots voted in support of the plan and 74% Greek Cypriots voted against the plan, claiming that it disproportionately favored the Turkish side. In total, 7% of the voters rejected the Annan Plan. On the 1st of May 2004 Cyprus joined the European Union, together with 9 other countries. Cyprus was accepted into the EU as a whole, although the EU legislation is suspended in northern Cyprus until a final settlement of the Cyprus problem. In July 2006, the island served as a haven for people fleeing Lebanon, due to the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, also called the July War. Efforts have been made to enhance freedom of movement between the two sides. In April 2003, Northern Cyprus unilaterally eased border restrictions, permitting Cypriots to cross between the two sides for the first time in 30 years. In March 2008, a wall that had stood for decades at the boundary between the Republic of Cyprus and the UN buffer zone was demolished. The wall had cut across Ledra Street in the heart of Nicosia and was seen as a strong symbol of the island's 32-year division. On the 3rd of April 2008, Ledra Street was reopened in the presence of Greek and Turkish Cypriot officials. North and South relaunched reunification talks on the 15th of May 2015. The European Union issued a warning in February 2019 that Cyprus, an EU member, was selling EU passports to Russian oligarchs, saying it would allow organized crime syndicates to infiltrate the EU.
Geography.
Cyprus is the third largest island in the Mediterranean Sea, after the Italian islands of Sicily and Sardinia or Western Asia and the Middle East. The physical relief of the island is dominated by two mountain ranges, the Troodos Mountains and the smaller Kyrenia Range, and the central plain they encompass, the Messouria. The Messouria plain is drained by the Pedios River, the longest on the island. The Troodos Mountains cover most of the southern and western portions of the island and account for roughly half its area. The highest point on Cyprus is Mount Olympus, located in the center of the Troodos Range. The narrow Kyrenia Range, extending along the northern coastline, occupies substantially less area, and elevations are lower, reaching a maximum of. The island lies within the Anatolian Plate. Geopolitically, the island is subdivided into four main segments. The Republic of Cyprus occupies the southern two-thirds of the island 59.74%. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus occupies the northern third 34.85%, and the United Nations-controlled Green Line provides a buffer zone that separates the two and covers 2.67% of the island. Lastly, two bases under British sovereignty are located on the island, Akrotiri and Helia, covering the remaining 2.74%.
Climate.
Cyprus has a subtropical climate, Mediterranean and semi-arid type in the northeastern part of the island, Köppen climate classifications, and with very mild winters on the coast and warm to hot summers. Snow is possible only in the Troodos Mountains in the central part of Ireland. Rain occurs mainly in winter, with summer being generally dry. Cyprus has one of the warmest climates in the Mediterranean part of the European Union. The average annual temperature on the coast is around during the day and at night. Generally, summers last about 8 months, beginning in April with average temperatures of during the day and at night, and ending in November with average temperatures of during the day and at night, although in the remaining 4 months temperatures sometimes exceed. Among all cities in the Mediterranean part of the European Union, Limassol has one of the warmest winters. In the period January to February, average temperature is during the day and at night. In other coastal locations in Cyprus is generally during the day and at night. During March, Limassol has average temperatures of during the day and at night. In other coastal locations in Cyprus is generally during the day and at night. Sunshine hours on the coast are around 3,200 per year, from an average of 5 to 6 hours of sunshine per day in December to an average of 12 to 13 hours in July. In December, London receives about 50 hours of sunshine between 2001 and 2004. Exceptionally heavy annual rainfall pushed water reserves up, with supply exceeding demand, allowing total storage in the island's reservoirs to rise to an all-time high by the start of 2005. However, since then demand has increased annually, a result of local population growth, foreigners moving to Cyprus and the number of visiting tourists, while supply has fallen as a result of more frequent droughts. Water desalination plants are gradually being constructed to deal with recent years of prolonged drought. The government has invested heavily in the creation of water desalination plants which have supplied almost 50% of domestic water since 2001. Efforts have also been made to raise public awareness of the situation and to encourage domestic water users to take more responsibility for the conservation of this increasingly scarce commodity. Turkey has built a water pipeline under the Mediterranean Sea from Enema on its southern coast to the northern coast of Cyprus, to supply northern Cyprus with potable and irrigation water.
See Northern Cyprus Water Supply Project.
Politics. Cyprus is a presidential republic. The head of state and of the government is elected by a process of universal suffrage for a 5-year term. Executive power is exercised by the government with legislative power vested in the House of Representatives, whilst the judiciary is independent of both the executive and the legislature. The 1960 constitution provided for a presidential system of government with independent executive, legislative and judicial branches, as well as a complex system of checks and balances, including a weighted power-sharing ratio designed to protect the interests of the Turkish Cypriots. The executive was led by a Greek Cypriot president and a Turkish Cypriot vice president elected by their respective communities for 5-year terms, and each possessing a right of veto over certain types of legislation and executive decisions. Legislative power rested on the House of Representatives, who were also elected on the basis of separate voters' rolls. Since 1965, following clashes between the two communities, the Turkish Cypriot seats in the House remain vacant. In 1974, Cyprus was divided
de facto
when the Turkish army occupied the northern third of the island. The Turkish Cypriots subsequently declared independence in 1983 as the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, but were recognized only by Turkey. In 1985, the TRNC adopted a constitution and held its first elections. The United Nations recognizes the sovereignty of the Republic of Cyprus over the entire island of Cyprus. The House of Representatives currently has 59 members elected for a 5-year term, 56 members by proportional representation and 3 observer members representing the Armenian, Latin and Maronite minorities. 24 seats are allocated to the Turkish community but remain vacant since 1964. The political environment is dominated by the Communist AKL, the Liberal Conservative Democratic Rally, the Centrist Democratic Party, the Social Democratic IDK and the Centrist Euro. Go. In 2008, Dimitris Christofias became the country's first communist head of state. Due to his involvement in the 2012-13 Cypriot financial crisis, Christofias did not run for re-election in 2013. The presidential election in 2013 resulted in Democratic Rally candidate Nikos Anastasiades winning 57.48% of the vote. As a result, Anastasiades was sworn in on and has been president since the 28th of February 2013. Anastasiades was re-elected with 56% of the vote in the 2018 presidential election.
Administrative divisions.
The Republic of Cyprus is divided into 6 districts: Nicosia, Famagusta, Kyria, Larnaca, Limassol and Paphos.
Exclaves and enclaves.
Cyprus has 4 exclaves, all in territory that belongs to the British sovereign base area of Tchilia. The first 2 are the villages of Ormia and Xylotimvou. The third is the Tchilia power station, which is divided by a British road into 2 parts. The northern part is the Ayak refugee settlement. The southern part, even though located by the sea, is also an exclave because it has no territorial waters of its own, those being UK waters. The UN buffer zone runs up against Tchilia and picks up again from its east side off Ayios Nikolaos and is connected to the rest of Tchilia by a thin land corridor. In that sense, the buffer zone turns the Paralimi area on the southeast corner of the island into a
de facto,
though not
de jure,
exclave.
Foreign relations.
The Republic of Cyprus is a member of the following international groups: Australia Group, CN, CFSP, EBRD, IB, EU, FAO, ERIA, IBRD, ICAO, ICC, ICT, ITUC, IDA, IFAT, IFC, IO, ILO, IMF, IMO, Interpol, IOC, IAM, IPU, ITU, MEGA, NAM, NSG, OPCW, OS, PCA, UN, UNCTAD, UNESCO, UNIDO, APU, WCL, WCO, WFTU, WHO, WIPO, WMO, 2, WTO.
Law, justice and human rights.
The Cyprus Police Greek is the only national police service of the Republic of Cyprus and is under the Ministry of Justice and Public Order since 1993. In Freedom in the World 2011 inches, Freedom House rated Cyprus as free. In January 2011, the report of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on the question of human rights in Cyprus noted that the ongoing division of Cyprus continues to affect human rights throughout the island. And NBSP including freedom of movement, human rights pertaining to the question of missing persons, discrimination, the right to life, freedom of religion, and economic, social and cultural rights. The constant focus on the division of the island can sometimes mask other human rights issues. In 2014, Turkey was ordered by the European Court of Human Rights to pay well over $100 million in compensation to Cyprus for the invasion. Ankara announced that it would ignore the judgment. In 2014, a group of Cypriot refugees and a European parliamentarian, later joined by the Cypriot government, filed a complaint to the International Court of Justice, accusing Turkey of violating the Geneva Conventions by directly or indirectly transferring its civilian population into occupied territory. Over the preceding 10 years, civilian transfer by Turkey had reached new heights, in the words of one U.S. ambassador. Other violations of the Geneva and The Hague Conventions, both ratified by Turkey, amount to what archaeologist Sophocles Hadjicev called the organized destruction of Greek and Christian heritage in the north.
Armed Forces.
The Cypriot National Guard is the main military institution of the Republic of Cyprus. It is all Greek. If it is Greek, then refs must be provided. I suspect that this is meant to say ethnic Greek greater than combined arms force, with land, air and naval elements. Historically, all men were required to spend 24 months serving in the National Guard after their 17th birthday, but in 2016 this period of compulsory service was reduced to 14 months. Annually, approximately 10,000 persons are trained in recruit centers. Depending on their awarded specialty, the conscript recruits are then transferred to specialty training camps or to operational units. While until 2016 the armed forces were mainly conscript-based, since then a large professional enlisted institution has been adopted which combined with the reduction of conscript service produces an approximate 3-to-1 ratio between conscript and professional enlisted.
Economy.
In the early 21st century the Cypriot economy has diversified and become prosperous. Fitch said Cyprus would need an additional to support its banks, and the downgrade was mainly due to the exposure of Bank of Cyprus, Cyprus Popular Bank and Hellenic Bank, Cyprus's three largest banks, to the Greek financial crisis. According to the 2017 International Monetary Fund estimates, its per capita GDP adjusted for purchasing power at $36,442 is below the average of the European Union. Cyprus has been sought as a base for several offshore businesses for its low tax rates. Tourism, financial services and shipping are significant parts of the economy. Economic policy of the Cyprus government has focused on meeting the criteria for admission to the European Union. The Cypriot government adopted the euro as the national currency on the 1st of January 2008. Cyprus's last EU member fully isolated from energy interconnections, and it is expected that will be connected to European network via Euro-Asia Interconnector, 2000 megawatts HVDC undersea power cable. Euro-Asia Interconnector will connect Greek, Cypriot, and Israeli power grids. It is a leading project of common interest of the European Union and also priority electricity highway interconnector project. In recent years, significant quantities of offshore natural gas have been discovered in the area known as Aphrodite at the exploratory drilling Block 12 in Cyprus Exclusive Economic Zone Ease, about south of Lima Salat 33 degrees 5 apostrophe 40 question mark N and 32 degrees 59 apostrophe 0 question mark E. However, Turkey's offshore drilling companies have accessed both natural gas and oil resources since 2013. Cyprus demarcated its maritime border with Egypt in 2003, with Lebanon in 2007, and with Israel in 2010. In August 2011, the US-based firm Noble Energy entered into a production sharing agreement with the Cypriot government regarding the bloc's commercial development. Turkey, which does not recognize the border agreements of Cyprus with its neighbors, threatened to mobilize its naval forces if Cyprus proceeded with plans to begin drilling at Block 12. Cyprus' drilling efforts have the support of the US, EU, and UN, and on the 19th of September 2011 drilling in Block 12 began without any incidents being reported. Because of the heavy influx of tourists and foreign investors, the property rental market in Cyprus has grown in recent years. In late 2013, the Cyprus Town Planning Department announced a series of incentives to stimulate the property market and increase the number of property developments in the country's town centres. This followed earlier measures to quickly give immigration permits to third-country nationals investing in Cyprus property.
Transport.
Available modes of transport are by road, sea and air. Of the roads in the Republic of Cyprus in 1998, were paved, and were unpaved. In 1996 the Turkish-occupied area had a similar ratio of paved to unpaved, with approximately of paved road and unpaved. Cyprus is one of only 4 EU nations in which vehicles drive on the left-hand side of the road, a remnant of British colonization, the others being Ireland, Malta and the United Kingdom. A series of motorways runs along the coast from Paphos east to Napa, with 2 motorways running inland to Nicosia, one from Limassol and one from Larnaca. Per capita private car ownership is the 29th highest in the world. There were approximately 344,000 privately owned vehicles, and a total of 517,000 registered motor vehicles in the Republic of Cyprus in 2006. In 2006, plans were announced to improve and expand bus services and other public transport throughout Cyprus, with the financial backing of the European Union Development Bank. In 2010, the new bus network was implemented. Cyprus has several heliports and 2 international airports, Larnaca International Airport and Paphos International Airport. A third airport, Erkan International Airport, operates in the Turkish Cypriot-administered area with direct flights only to Turkey. Turkish Cypriot ports are closed to international traffic apart from Turkey. Nicosia International Airport has been closed since 1974. The main harbours of the island are Limassol and Larnaca, which service cargo, passenger and cruise ships.
Communications.
CITA, the state-owned telecommunications company, manages most telecommunications and internet connections on the island. However, following deregulation of the sector, a few private telecommunications companies emerged, including Mountain, Cablenet, OTNet Telecom, Omega Telecom and PrimeTel. In the Turkish-controlled area of Cyprus, 3 different companies are present: Turkcell, KKTC Telsim and Turk Telecom.
Demographics. According
to the CIA World Factbook, in 2001 Greek Cypriots comprised 77%, Turkish Cypriots 18%, and others 5% of the Cypriot population. At the time of the 2011 government census, there were 10,520 people of Russian origin living in Cyprus. According to the first population census after the Declaration of Independence, carried out in December 1960 and covering the entire island, Cyprus had a total population of 573,566. Of whom 442,138 (77.1%) were Greeks, 104,320 2% Turkish, and 27,108 7% others. Due to the intercommunal ethnic tensions between 1963 and 1974, an island-wide census was regarded as impossible. Nevertheless, the Cypriot government conducted one in 1973, without the Turkish Cypriot populace. According to this census, the Greek Cypriot population was 482,000. 1 year later, in 1974, the Cypriot government's Department of Statistics and Research estimated the total population of Cyprus at 641,000, of whom 506,078 (9%) were Greeks, and 118,018 4% Turkish. After the partition of the island in 1974, the government of Cyprus conducted 4 more censuses, in 1976, 1982, 1992 and 2001. These excluded the Turkish population which was resident in the northern part of the island. and an estimated 10,000 to 30,000 undocumented illegal immigrants currently living in the south of the island. According to the 2006 census carried out by Northern Cyprus, there were 256,644 de jure people living in Northern Cyprus. 178,031 were citizens of Northern Cyprus, of whom 147,405 were born in Cyprus, 112,534 from the north, 32,538 from the south. 371 did not indicate what part of Cyprus they were from. 27,333 born in Turkey, 2,482 born in the UK and 913 born in Bulgaria. Of the 147,405 citizens born in Cyprus, 120,031 say both parents were born in Cyprus, 16,824 say both parents born in Turkey, 10,361 have one parent born in Turkey and one parent born in Cyprus. In 2010, the International Crisis Group estimated that the total population of Cyprus was 1 and NBSP million, of which there was an estimated 300,000 residents in the north, perhaps half of whom were either born in Turkey or are children of such settlers. The villages of Rizakapaso only one in the north, Potam